Finding any street dog that needs help, one of the things that I've noticed that tourists do, which is a mistake, is trying to make sure that they have a home or maybe even sponsors or everything before helping the dog. The first thing we should do is put the dog's needs first. So, what does the dog need? Is the dog malnourished and itchy? So, in that case, we're going to give skin medicine and a dewormer. Cheap ones, like I mentioned in other videos, Simparica is split by the biggest tablet. You can do the same at NexGard, do the same at Bravecto, and give it a deworming tablet. Maybe you're just going to feed it up at first and ask some of the locals where the dog usually hangs out, does it have an owner, all these things. Sometimes just doing that is the best that you can do. The dog will often have its own territory, has its own pals, has its enemies, has its doggy pals, has its doggy enemies. And so the nice people there, very kind people there in Bali, will be giving the dog food if it's still alive. So helping the dog where it is, it might be very happy where it is. If it's a female, it's certainly worth getting it sterilised. Like I said in another video, sometimes sterilising the males makes them more friendly, but they can put them in danger too. And I've seen it before. I've sterilised males and had them poisoned, had them taken maybe for dog meat. I don't know what. So, but with the females, the locals are more worried about the females, and they may poison them because they're worried they're going to have loads of puppies who'll have loads of puppies, and it'll be like a pest, it'll get out of control. Whereas if you vaccinate, sterilise after treating for skin and worms and giving some food, now the dog's got a great home and all the people there know the dog's going to be very happy. I have seen in a very kind vet's place a dog who was left there over 1 year in a small cage because it was partly bald, and that was really sad. What could possibly be worse for the dog? I mean, the dog's probably going to stay out of the sun anyway. It's bald. It'll just get some food. It should have just helped the dog where it was. The street dogs can be happy, you know, they're extremely intelligent, like they have to be to survive. And they often have their own area, their own territory. You take them out of that, they might lose their territory. They might have to fight for it when they come back. You see dogs run away. They get chased by packs of dogs who have their territory. The dogs are all extremely territorial there. So doing that can not only lead to a horrible life for the dog, but they can put them in serious danger. And if they're ever released, but they're better off than that than in a cage in the vets. And the boarding houses are for dogs to board, not vets. Vets are there for sick dogs, to help sick dogs. And most of the vets do an incredibly good job of helping sick dogs, but it's not a place to leave a dog, it's not a place to leave a puppy. And so worst case scenario, leave it in a boarding house, but somebody reputable, ask on Facebook, get recommendations from rescuers, and they'll tell you where to leave the dog. But the most important thing is thinking of the dog's welfare, not the Hollywood solution. You know, oh, I rescued a dog, I went to Bali, I did this, today the dog's still in the vets, I'm going to keep it there, I'm going to keep paying the vet until I find a home for the dog. Well, the dog's probably sitting in the cage 24 hours a day cursing you. You know, the dog doesn't know that somebody's paid for it probably, but it's not helpful for the dog. So putting the dog's needs first. And you can use some coconut oil on the dog's skin. You can educate people there. You can help the dog and then educate other people there, and maybe help their dogs too. You know, give the dog the medicine with them and give them the information so they can do it again in future. And now you're bringing the standard of welfare of dogs up. They see the dog fully recovered. They know it's possible. You tell them the medicine that was used. They know how to do it themselves. Now you're raising the standard of welfare of dogs for very inexpensive, for a few dollars. Whereas for a few $100s or a few $1,000, you can torment a poor dog like that dog I seen stuck in the vets. And the vets don't want to keep the dog there, but the person's paying for him. They don't have very much choice but to do what the customer says. They can get some very nasty feedback on reviews and stuff. And yet they were thinking of the dog, and so they'll just leave the dog in the cage. What can they do? And most vets don't have an outdoor area. Outdoor areas can have parvo distemper or parvo and distemper. And then the dogs pick that up and they get blamed. So it's often easier to clean the cage, and the dogs may not be friendly and they might bite the staff who are very low paid and maybe don't have that much experience caring for dogs. So as long as that's not the solution, to leave it in there endlessly. Okay, a dog with a broken leg or something may have to be caged after having it bandaged up or having an operation or whatever. But only for situations like that. And boarding houses are there for dogs. Get them their vaccine. Think of what's best for the dog. You can always call a vet out to give the vaccine, give skin medicine, give deworming tablet. Just check what one they give. It has to be Simparica, NexGard, or Mectin. They're the effective ones. Simparica, NexGard, or Perfecto. Ivermectin is often injected, but it's not that efficient, except for scabies and deworming. But it's an old-fashioned thing because it's lost its efficiency. But some vets still use that, so you have to be careful what they give. But just remember that the street dogs might be happier than they look, and they might just need some food. They might just need a deworming tablet. You're never going to go wrong with a deworming tablet. And if they've got skin parasites and they're itchy, do that. And if you can touch them, put on coconut oil too. It'll speed up the healing. Just be careful of their eyes. So that's a very efficient way to help the dog. And find out if there's a street feeder there. Maybe buy a couple of €100 worth of Dog Choice lamb for the street feeder. It'll have food for ages. Now you've helped 100 dogs there daily for a few months. So they're the kind of solutions to look at, rather than the Hollywood solution for a dog, which people don't know any better. But if they took a step back and listened to people with experience, they would. So that helps.